Alright, so this is going to be a bit of a demo on aligning and doing the current revision of the noise elimination technique, or reduction, whatever you want to call it. So first we'll want to load up our tracks here. This is the English track. As you can see, it's already been pre-processed. Then we'll load up the Polish track, which has not been. And we'll just pre-process that real quick. This process here that I'm about to do here is available in the Google Doc. It'll tell you exactly what to do. So we'll want to discard the bass and rear channels. That's these two. These are at the end, and as you can see, they're a lot quieter than the front tracks. These are the front, left, and right here. So we'll want to go ahead and merge those. Just go, you want to select them and go mix and render. So notice that it moved it to the bottom now, and it's now called mix. We want to lower the gain by 20 decibels. We want to select it and then go invert. I'll mute the English track so we can hear.
A kiedy Twilight i reszta cię namierzyły, to prawie zniszczyłaś całą Equestrię. Applejack? Co to jest? Ale oczywiście... Wiem, że się denerwujesz przed spotkaniem, ale w punkcie 3 jest napisane...
Świetnie, to ten...
Dla mnie ten zwyczaj jest zrozumiały, jak i wiele innych rzeczy.
Cadence i Shining Armora. Sala tronowa, jasne.
So it looks like I'm not really running into a lot of the background music just where I've clicked, but basically this will go ahead and remove a lot of it. So I guess we could, let's try right here. This might be...
Kiedy ujrzę go, to pędzę jak wiatr.
Czułe serce.
Magii czar naszej przyjaźni.
Yeah, you can hear there's no trace of the music now that this is here. So we'll just go ahead and we will merge these. Just go mix and render again. There we go. So as you can see, the Polish track here is a fair bit shorter than the English track. We'll want to go ahead and we need to stretch it out here. So what we'll want to do is want to select it and go effect and change tempo, not speed. Speed will change the pitch as well of it. And you'll want to probably do the high quality stretching, which will take a fair bit longer, just to be warned. Now this should be the correct percent change, but I don't know, it doesn't seem quite right. So what I will do is, with this muted, I will go ahead and export this, and I'll just do the audio stretching in Audition. But first, let's go ahead and just get a small chunk, since I'm not going to line the whole episode here on video. So we'll just do this section here that I've posted the demo for before. And we'll just work with that. There we go. So we just want to go File, Export. This, again, once we figure out the proper timing for Audacity, you can just do it all in Audacity. But for right now, I'm just going to do this. Let's just call it Polish. And there we go. So in Audition, at the very least, this is the percent change in playback speed. So, or no, the stretch. I don't know, whatever. But this does seem to give the proper result here. We'll have to figure out what the proper number is for Audacity, so that way it's easier for other people. But there we go. We'll just do that. There we go. So that should be properly stretched out. So we'll just go and save that. There we go. We shouldn't need Audition anymore. So we'll just get rid of that, and we'll bring in the other track. There we go. So yeah, it's just kind of a temporary part of the process till we get it better figured out here. And so now that we have our, properly stretched out tracks, we'll need to align them before anything else. So you want to try and find an area that doesn't have any speaking or anything like that, something that's going to be identical in both tracks. So you can find these like sharp little spikes here. That's a good thing to look for. There we go. As you can see, it seems to line up pretty good. Let's see. If you're having issues trying to see the waves here, and you don't have a whole lot to go on, you can click over here to increase the scale of it. So as you can see, that brings it up. You can do that for both sides, and that will make it a lot easier if you're not really finding a whole lot that's easily visible like that. And then that's just left click over here to do that, and right click to back it back out. So there we go. Now we'll want to check further along, just check a few locations, probably make sure that's pretty good. It's probably pretty fine for this short sample here. We can zoom in more. And yeah, that's looking pretty good to me. Now for a larger project, like a whole episode, you're probably going to need to resync it several times throughout the episode. And so you're going to want to split the Polish track or whatever the non-English track that you're using, just so that way we're not interfering with the timing of the English track. And for that, you'll just use your time shift tool. You'll zoom in, select at some point. You'll probably want to pick something with as little noise as possible, and then just go Control I, and that'll split it, and then you can click and drag it separately. But we don't need to do that on just this short little section here. So there we go. It should be theoretically aligned. We can play back.
Funny you should mention it, because I just narrowed your...
Now it sounds pretty good like this. We think it sounds like it's pretty well lined up, but there's an easy way to check. We'll just select one of the tracks. It doesn't really matter, and we will invert it. And what we should find is that when we play it back, we'll have both of the languages, of course, still, but there should be no background noises, essentially, if you've done it well enough.
Hej, Twilight, czy mogę ci zadać pytanie o kryształowy imperium?
And if we, mute one side, we should be able to hear that there's a difference.
Hej, Twilight,
Can I ask you something about the Crystal Empire? Funny you should mention it, because I just narrowed your first friendship lesson down to 3 options, and one of them is in the Crystal Empire.
Really?
I found out that's where the first pony you ever cared about lived.
Here, if we move over here to the end, we should be able to hear it a bit better.
Starlight?
Yeah. And one thing that you'll want to do is you'll also need to balance the tracks. I think this track is pretty well balanced as is. And basically that just means you'll want to adjust the gain of your non-English dub here. So that way, while it's playing back, with one of the tracks inverted, that you want to adjust it until you don't hear any of the background noise. So if it were a little bit off, say it were off by a couple of dB, and we were to play it back, you hear that it doesn't completely get rid of that background noise. And you'll just want to adjust the slider until you get it about right. I don't think you'll need to be super precise about it, but if you do need more precision, you can double click and you can manually type in a number. That's like a decimal or whatever, but we don't need to do that, so we'll just leave it here. Another thing to do when you're balancing the tracks is it might be handy to just play back a very short section of it. So let's say we want to play back this section, and we want it looping. So we just make our selection here, hold down Shift, and hit the spacebar. And as you can hear, it will loop it. You can also look up here to see the decibel level. This is another handy thing to look at when balancing the tracks, because if we move it off, you'll see it gets louder. And so that's probably about good for the alignment there. Before we do anything, we'll want to make sure that we don't have any of the tracks inverted, so we'll just undo that real quick. And a nice easy way to check is because if you play it back, you'll hear all the noise. So there we go. Now, before we move on to Isotope and doing the center extraction, we'll need to make it a stereo track. So just go ahead and select all of it. You click the little drop down here, and we're going to want to hit Make Stereo Track. And that's about it there. And we'll just go Export Audio. We'll call it Combined or something like that. And one thing you will want to do, of course, is you want to keep the English track. Not really an issue, if you're just sticking with the full English track. But since I'm working with the selection here, I will go ahead and just export that. And you can either, if you just want to export like one part of it, you can either like mute everything else, or you can just go export selected audio, and that'll just export whatever you have selected here. Yeah, so actually let's do that. We'll call it English. There we go. So we can get rid of everything else. Well, I guess we can load English back in. So there we go. We got our English track here. Now we will want to go to Isotope now. Take our combined track here. And if we play it back, we'll hear, obviously, as we have so far, that there's one language on either side.
Something about the Crystal Empire?
And we can deselect either channel if we just want to listen to one, so we can turn one of them off.
Funny, you should mention it.
Bo właśnie wybrałam 3 opcje.
So if we just, that's handy. And then as far as the center extraction, that's just right here. Now I found the best way is this here, not doing the keep, because previously I was doing just extracting the background noise and then subtracting that from the original audio in Audacity. But I found that I got better results doing the heap sides here with these settings. Now you can mess around with it more. Reduction strength, obviously, the amount of reduction you'll need. If you go too high, you'll start to hear it affect the voice a bit. So just it's a balance. You want to just kind of keep that in mind. The dry mix just is the amount that it mixes back in from the unprocessed audio. And the artifact smoothing, it's supposed to remove artifacts, but what I found that it does is it just mixes some of the audio from the other channel, kind of switches, or mixes left and right a little bit. So if we were to do this, we would hear some of the Polish on the English track, which we don't want to do. So that's why I have that like that. And so you can preview it with this here.
Jeśli chodzi o twoją pierwszą lekcję przyjaźni, jedna z nich była...
As you can hear, it does a pretty good job. If we just want to listen to the one side, we can just, deselect the other one like that.
The Crystal Empire.
Really?
I found out that's where the first pony you ever cared about lives.
Sunburst?
Yeah, so there we go. We can hear that does a decent enough job. It's not perfect, and there is, a fair chance that there will be more refinement done here. But at the moment, this is what's been happening, so we'll just go ahead and do that. Get rid of that, and we can play it back, and we should hear that it is, much cleaner. Oops.
Can't figure out why they're special? Sorry.
So there we go. Then we're just going to want to save it. Save it as whatever you want. I'm just going to call it ISO. And then if we load that, well, actually we don't need the English track. I take that back because it'll be right here. We just need to go here. We'll want to go split stereo to mono. This should be the Polish track here. So if we were to
Hej, Twilight, czy mogę ci zadać pytanie?
yeah, and then if we go over here, this should just be the English.
Twilight, can I ask you something about...
So obviously get rid of the Polish and we
Mention
have
it, because I just narrowed your first friendship lesson down to 3 options, and one of...
So yeah, there's that. That's about the current state of what we got. So this is really designed so that way you guys can mess around with the process more. And, look for any improvements that might be done. Now, yeah, that's just a short section. As far as anything else, I think I about covered most of it. Yeah, so I guess I'll end the recording here. And that's it.